Who will rule Russia after Putin? Now that's a question that's been hovering around political circles for quite some time. Vladimir Putin, the man, the myth, the legend, has been the face of Russia for what seems like an eternity. His presence, his rule has been so domineering, so all-encompassing that it's hard to imagine a Russia without him at the helm. But every reign has an end, and Putin's will be no different. The day will come when he steps down, and when he does, what happens next? You see, when a leader of Putin's stature departs, it leaves behind a power vacuum, a gaping void that's not easy to fill. Just imagine it. A colossal nation like Russia, with its complex political landscape and diverse socioeconomic fabric, suddenly finds itself leaderless. The power structures that were meticulously built and carefully maintained over the years suddenly lose their kingpin. What follows is uncertainty, confusion, even chaos. This power vacuum can lead to a scramble for control. Various factions within the government, the military, the oligarchy, they all start vying for the top spot. It's a Game of Thrones, if you will, and the stakes couldn't be higher. The balance of power can shift dramatically and unpredictably, leading to potential instability. But it's not just about the internal dynamics. The ripple effects of this power vacuum can be felt far and wide. It can redefine Russia's relationships with other nations, its position in the global order. The world watches with bated breath as the future of one of its most influential nations hangs in the balance. And amidst all this, one question looms large. Who will step up? Who will have the courage, the cunning, the charisma to take up the mantle and lead Russia into a new era? The answer to that question is not clear, not yet. There are several contenders, each with their own strengths and weaknesses, each with their own vision for Russia. But who are the likely successors to Putin's throne? That, my friends, is a story for another time. Now, let's delve into the potential successors to Putin's reign. First up, we have Dmitry Medvedev. A loyal ally of Putin, Medvedev served as the president of Russia from 2008 to 2012, with Putin as his prime minister. This political tag team managed to keep a firm grip on the reins of power. Medvedev, known for his legal acumen and technocratic leanings, could well follow in Putin's footsteps, but would he offer something new? Next on our list is Sergei Sobyanin, the current mayor of Moscow. Sobyanin has been at the helm of Russia's capital city for over a decade, demonstrating a knack for urban development and crisis management. His close ties with Putin and his proven administrative skills make him a strong contender. But would his urban-centric approach translate to a national stage? Lastly, we have Alexei Navalny, a more contentious figure. Known for his anti-corruption campaigns and political activism, Navalny represents a stark contrast to the current regime. Despite being a thorn in Putin's side and facing numerous legal challenges, Navalny has amassed a significant following. His commitment to transparency and democratic values is clear, but can he navigate the murky waters of Russian politics? Each of these men has left a distinct mark on Russia's political landscape. Medvedev, with his legal prowess and prior presidential experience, offers continuity and stability. Sobyanin, the urban planner, could bring a fresh, development-focused perspective. Navalny, the activist, promises a departure from the status quo, with a focus on democratic reform and anti-corruption. However, it's important to remember that political success in Russia often hinges on more than just popularity or policy. It's a complex dance of alliances, power plays, and at times, survival. Will these potential successors be able to maintain their footing, or will they stumble under the weight of Russia's political machine? Each of these figures brings a unique perspective to the table, but are they ready to lead Russia? Taking the reins from Putin won't be a walk in the park. As we turn our gaze towards the future, we see a path strewn with challenges for the next Russian leader. First and foremost, they will face the daunting task of managing domestic issues, a task akin to keeping a bear on a tightrope. Economic stability, social reform, corruption, these are all pressing issues that will demand immediate attention. Russia's economy, heavily reliant on oil and gas exports, is vulnerable to global market fluctuations. The successor will need to diversify the economy to ensure long-term stability. Social reform is also a pressing issue. The growing gap between the rich and the poor, the struggle for civil rights, and the need for a more robust healthcare system are all challenges that will require deft handling. Then there's the international stage. Russia's relationship with the West has been fraught with tension. The successor will need to navigate this delicate balance, all while maintaining Russia's influence on the global stage. There's also the matter of Russia's relationship with its neighbors. Will the successor continue Putin's assertive foreign policy, or will they choose a different path? And let's not forget about establishing an identity separate from Putin's legacy. For 2 decades, Putin's influence has defined Russia. His successor will need to carve out their own place, their own style of leadership. This won't be an easy task. It's like stepping into a role previously played by a seasoned actor. The new leader will need to convince the Russian people and the world that they are not just a shadow of Putin, but a leader in their own right. Lastly, the successor will need to handle the ever-growing influence of technology and its role in shaping society and politics. Cybersecurity, disinformation, artificial intelligence, these are all areas that require a forward-thinking approach. These challenges will not only test the mettle of Putin's successor, but also shape the future of Russia. As the sun sets on the Putin era, and a new dawn beckons, the world watches with bated breath. Russia's next leader will not only shape the country's future but also have a significant impact on the world stage. As we grapple with the question of who will rule Russia after Putin, we must also consider the broader implications. The political direction Russia takes under its new leadership will undoubtedly shape international relations, global politics, and the world economy. To begin with, Russia's international relations are poised on a knife edge. The country's relationships with Western nations have been strained in recent years. A new leader might choose to continue with the current hardline stance or decide to mend fences and seek a more cooperative relationship with the West. This decision would have far-reaching effects, impacting everything from global security to the balance of power. Next, we turn to global politics. Russia has long been a dominant player on the world stage, wielding its veto power in the United Nations Security Council and influencing international policies. The approach of the next leader could either strengthen Russia's position or lead to its isolation. If the new leader leans towards a more collaborative approach, we could witness a shift in global alliances and power dynamics. Moving on to the world economy, Russia, as one of the largest exporters of natural gas and oil, plays a crucial role. Changes in Russia's domestic policies could lead to fluctuations in global oil prices, impacting economies worldwide. If the new leader decides to leverage this position more aggressively, it could lead to economic instability. Conversely, a more conservative approach might stabilize global markets. Finally, we cannot overlook the human rights aspect. The world is watching how the new leader will address issues such as freedom of speech, political dissent, and minority rights within Russia. These decisions will not only affect the Russian people, but will also set a precedent for other nations grappling with similar issues. In conclusion, the impact of Russia's future leadership will reverberate far beyond its borders. The world watches with bated breath as the future of Russia hangs in the balance. As we wrap up, let's revisit the main points we've covered today. We began by discussing the power vacuum that could potentially form following Putin's eventual departure. This is a significant issue as it could lead to a period of instability or uncertainty within Russia. It's a challenging situation that the next leader will undoubtedly have to navigate. We then moved on to the likely successors. Each of these individuals has a unique political career and perspective. Some have been in Putin's inner circle for years, others are rising stars in Russian politics. The successor could be anyone from a seasoned politician to a relative newcomer. The only certainty is that whoever it is will have a considerable influence over the future direction of Russia. Next, we delved into the challenges that this successor will face. They will need to manage a complex political landscape dealing with both internal and external pressures. They'll have to navigate economic issues, social upheaval, and possibly even geopolitical conflict. The challenges are vast and varied, but they will shape the future of Russia and potentially the world. Finally, we examined the potential global impact of this change in leadership. Russia is a major player on the world stage, and the actions of its leader can have far-reaching consequences. From relations with the West to its role in global conflicts, the successor to Putin's throne will influence not just Russia, but the world. While the future of Russia remains uncertain, one thing is clear: the successor to Putin's throne will have a monumental task ahead. Until then, all we can do is speculate and watch as the drama unfolds.